Hello, my name is Rachel. Welcome to episode 3. What would you do with an extra day a week? Time never seems to be our friend. There are not many people who feel like they have time to spare. Are you busy or bored? Either way, if you had an extra day per week, a mythical day 8, what would you do with it? I wanted to share my thoughts, and I hope this prompts you to think a little bit about what would you do with a mythical day 8? So this requires a bit of imagination. This exercise was a lot of fun. I think the equation probably comes down to time versus money. I think in all of our lives with using, our existing day 1 to 7, we need to think about leveraging either time or money if you're trying to build a business. Everyone has the same amount of time. We actually do. No human is exempt to this, but I don't know that most people talk like they have the same amount of time that you do. No matter what people say with their words, I think their truth is where they spend their time. That speaks louder than any of the words they use about their time and how busy they are or how bored they are. So let's pretend nothing else changes in your life and nothing else changes in my life, but we get this mythical day 8. And what will we do with the day 8? What would you do? What time would you get up in the morning? And what time would you go to bed at night? What would you choose to do in your mornings? And what would you choose to do in your afternoons and your evenings? Where do you think your energy would probably go? Maybe your day looks like binging TV and doing nothing else but staying on the couch. And to be honest, that sounds pretty great. That may mean that your current 7 days a week are just a little too erratic or busy, or maybe you just need a well-earned holiday, and don't we all? Maybe your day looks a bit more like mine probably looks, and if you're building a side hustle, this might seem familiar. You'd probably spend a lot of your day 8 building your new business, or starting a business, growing a business. That's probably how my day 8 looks. And if you're listening to this podcast, I wouldn't be surprised if you say the same. But whatever your answer happens to be, I bet you your answer is thought out and planned out. I bet your answer is pretty considered. In fact, I bet your answer is anything but haphazard. And that's the key. If we had an extra day a week, I think whatever we would choose to do with that day, it wouldn't be haphazard. So then the question is, why don't I bring that same level of consideredness and deliberate planned out to my current 7 days a week? So if I have an extra day a week and I'm not being deliberate about it, I bet you within a very short period of time, it would start to look just like my day 1 to 7. So in this exercise, my day 8, when I think about it, is pretty planned out and considered. If I didn't do that and plan it out and think about it in a considered way and got day 8 and the rest of the world had to stick with 7, pretty soon that day 8 would just start to look like my current 7 days a week. It would have the same patterns to it, the same time pressures and the same commitments. So perhaps thinking about day 8 helps me think about how I want my 7 days a week to look. That's where I've come to with this exercise. At the moment, I'm building a side hustle. I'm building a startup into my regular life. Blocks of time here and there in the evenings, all day Thursdays, that's the day off I have from my regular day job, and weekends. The bonus of this though, which I never thought about till just doing this podcast, is actually it's helping me think about what's important in my business and spending time there. In only having a few pockets of time through my week where I can build this business, I reckon I'm being less haphazard than maybe if I had all the time in the world. Because if I had all the time in the world, then I probably would be pretty inefficient and start spending time on things that weren't important. But because I'm trying to fit it into my regular life and commitments, I reckon I'm being fairly efficient. Have you ever heard of this thing called Parkinson's Law? Parkinson's Law is the idea that work or tasks expand to the time allotted for its completion. I love that idea. So if you had an important email you needed to send to someone at work and you had an hour to do it, you'd probably take an hour to do it. If you had an important email to send to someone at work and had half an hour to do it, you'd probably take half an hour to do it. So the idea of Parkinson's Law is that often the tasks we have in our business just fill up the time we've given for it to take. So perhaps I can spend 10 minutes on social media if I've decided I've got 10 minutes. Or I could spend an hour on social media if I've decided I've got an hour to spend on social media. And in this way, I think time is truly our friend. I really do. I don't say that in a flippant way. I think time is really our friend. Because we get tired and our body is trying to keep us healthy. And time gives us cues in life to eat and rest, to get excited about things, to learn, to get up and move, to go to sleep, all around the sun going up and the sun going down. So we're not actually promised tomorrow. So I'm really keen after this exercise to make my 7 days the way I want them to look now, as if I do have a day 8 as a gift to enjoy life today. One of the things I currently squeeze into my side hustle time is going live on Facebook. That is really worth doing, and it's really worth my time because I've generated great income from doing that. But I tell you, it's scary to go live on Facebook for sure. And I'm definitely not talking about this day 8 exercise as turning your life into being a machine. That's certainly not my answer to what would you do with a day per week, because I value things in life like creativity and rest. So my day 8 does not look like a machine or like I'm working myself to the bone. So if you're thinking about your day 8 in those sort of parameters, probably stop and give it a little bit of a rethink, because I reckon if you thought about it, you might want to do things like, I don't know, watch a sunset or read a book. Quite possibly your answers would involve things also like working on your business rather than in your business too, which might definitely reflect that. So here's my little timetable of how my day 8 would look. This is just a loose idea, but it was a heap of fun doing it. I get up around 6:30 and do all the usual stuff, get kids out the door to school and work, and my husband would have to work, make breakfast and then have coffee and open up the house, vacuum the house, make beds. I reckon at 9:30 I would want to spend half an hour on deliberate business strategy stuff. So this would be things where I'm working on my business and not in my business. Then at 10 o'clock I'd want to work in my business. So doing the usual things like packing orders, sending emails, replying to emails and social media. Then have lunch and a little nap or watch a movie, and then probably get out the house for a bit. And then around 3 p.m, I think I'd like to spend time implementing some of the strategy I kind of dreamed up at 9:30 in the morning, which would be more heavily focused work, like new creatives, Facebook ads, perhaps a webinar, things that take a bit more brain power. And then everybody gets home around 4:30, so chat and catch up with everyone and make dinner, general, house admin stuff, housekeeping, grocery shopping online, that sort of stuff. And then maybe later in the evening, my kids are all kind of teenagers now, so a lot of them finish work at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. So through the evening, maybe I'd be picking kids up from work, catching up with my husband, watching TV, going to a meeting at church, and then maybe more business stuff, maybe off to bed. So you can see I've got a loose structure there. But again, what does your day 8 look like for you? Because I'd really love to know. Jump on the website and send me an email. I'd be keen as to hear. But I bet the answer, like I said before, has been thought out, planned out, considered, and I bet your day 8 is not haphazard. I love to plan. I'm a planner by nature. I love to plan and journal and use stickers and stationery and stuff to do that. But I'm definitely not a real scheduled planner. I don't like using a planner with hourly blocks to it or anything like that. I'm a little more loose than that. I like to be a bit more creative. And also, if I'm being honest, I'm a bit of a rebel when it comes to boundaries. If there are boundaries set, I tend to want to break them, even if I've set them for myself. So I'm certainly not talking about making your day look like you work like a machine. Here's a few things I do in my life that I think save me time that I like to do. Perhaps this helps you in thinking about some ideas in saving time for yourself too. This is my favorite one, which is paying for things. I talked about this at the very start. This is that time versus money calculation again. You either leverage time in your business, and leverage by, I mean, sort of you get more time for your business by spending money, or you get more money in your business by spending time. Some things can take longer to do in your business if you learn to do them yourself, and that often saves you money. Then other things can be shortcutted time-wise, and you can get results faster if you're willing to spend some money. This one's my favourite example because I was thinking about this last week when I was walking around the market. And I knew when I was going to that market that I was going to buy some scones from a lady that sells them every time I go and visit. She makes savoury scones and sweet scones. And I knew before I went to the market that I was going to buy scones and that would be lunch for my family when I got home. And for me, that felt like a real time-saving exercise because she was up at 3 a.m. in the morning making these beautiful scones. And I knew first off when I went to that market that I'll be buying some, and that would save me half an hour when I got home because I wasn't going to be worrying about what people were eating for lunch. So to me, that's a good example of the time versus money calculation and leveraging one to get the other. And that was just a little thing, but it was really exciting for me to wander around the market knowing that kind of part of my day later on was already planned out and taken care of because I was buying these scones from a lady that made them just that morning. Another thing is getting help. A friend of mine, her teenage son comes to help me pack orders, particularly around Christmas when I'm really busy. And that's a massive help, and it's this huge energy saver for me. So I'm not dreading dozens and dozens of orders that are sitting there waiting to be done because I know that I've got someone to help me with that. Sometimes I think you just need to let things drop and fall to the wayside. I definitely do this in my life, and if I look at the amount of dust that's sitting on my bedside table, that's probably one thing I don't keep up with really often, but I'm okay with that. Some things just have to drop to save you the time. And I reckon this one's great too, swapping out visual media for audio instead. Like, I don't know what I did before podcasts. I love podcasts. And now I listen to a podcast and vacuum, or listen to a podcast and make tea, or listen to a podcast and pack orders. So I'm swapping out visual media in my life for audio instead. So I hope that gives you some tips and ideas. If I'm looking to save time, then I want to be able to spend that extra time on my business. Remember, we're thinking about what we do with an extra day a week. So more than likely your true passions and what's really important to you have featured highly on your day 8, the same as mine. So I encourage you not to squish more things into your existing day 1 to 7, trying to kind of make your day 1 to 7 cram pack full of stuff. Like I said, I don't think this idea is meant to seem like you're living like a machine. So maybe taking a walk is important to you, or watching the sunset. So don't sort of feel yourself wanting to squish more in if that's your natural tendency. I don't know that that will serve you well, because I don't think that's the benefit of this activity. I found the benefit of this activity is really thinking about the reasons behind I do what I do. And those reasons can be as simple as just relaxing, like scrolling on TikTok, like not sort of saying you should remove those things from your life, but it's a fun exercise to think, what would I do with an extra day a week? Because it makes it feel really precious. It becomes something special that I get that nobody else gets to have. Think about the same precious nature of what you want to do, and I bet you when you think about your business, the things that you choose to do on day 8 probably move the needle revenue-wise. You probably don't put scrolling TikTok for 2 hours on your day 8 because you know that's not income generating. But what other things have you put on your day 8? They're probably income generating. That's totally when I think about my day 8. I think, I'd send more emails. I'd run more Facebook ads and experiment. I would reach out to my customers more. So all those things I know are income generating. I'd explore new revenue streams. I'd reach out maybe to some shops and explore wholesale opportunities. So that's the benefit of this activity. I really enjoyed that. So take away the same thing for yourself. Perhaps your day 8 has given you a few insights into what's income generating for you, and that's the fun of it. Thank you so much for joining me. This podcast is as much a therapeutic brain download for me as I hope it's an encouragement for you as we spent this time together. Head to my website where you can join my newsletter, or send me an email. Let me know what your mythical day 8 would look like, because I'd so love to hear from you. Head to www.aussieecommercemum.com.au and I'll see you next time. Keep learning. Hello, my name is Rachel. Welcome to episode 3. What would you do with an extra day a week? Time never seems to be our friend. There are not many people who feel like they have time to spare. Are you busy or bored? Either way, if you had an extra day per week, a mythical day 8, what would you do with it? I wanted to share my thoughts, and I hope this prompts you to think a little bit about what would you do with the mythical day 8. So this requires a bit of imagination. This exercise was a lot of fun. I think the equation probably comes down to time versus money. I think in all of our lives, with using, our existing day 1 to 7, we need to think about leveraging either time or money if you're trying to build a business. Everyone has the same amount of time. We actually do. No human is exempt to this, but I don't know that most people talk like they have the same amount of time that you do. No matter what people say with their words, I think their truth is where they spend their time. That speaks louder than any of the words they use about their time and how busy they are or how bored they are. So let's pretend nothing else changes in your life and nothing else changes in my life, but we get this mythical day 8. And what will we do with the day 8? What would you do? What time would you get up in the morning? And what time would you go to bed at night? What would you choose to do in your mornings? And what would you choose to do in your afternoons and your evenings? Where do you think your energy would probably go? Maybe your day looks like binging TV and doing nothing else but staying on the couch. And to be honest, that sounds pretty great. That may mean that your current 7 days a week are just a little too erratic or busy, or maybe you just need a well-earned holiday, and don't we all? Maybe your day looks a bit more like mine probably looks, and if you're